Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there, middle of the week. We do have a lot to talk about here in this video today. We got the severe weather reports from yesterday, a lot of severe weather across the Central Plains and getting into the Missouri Valley. Also talking about the upcoming severe weather as we head through the rest of today, into our Thursday, and even into Friday. And then we'll look ahead to a major heat wave that will be expected across especially the middle of the country, into the central and southern plains, into the desert southwest, and then kind of looking ahead toward the Father's Day weekend as well, and toward the middle and end of June, as we have the tropics here potentially starting to heat up toward the middle and end of June as well. So welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday out there. The Storm Prediction Center has a lot of reports coming in here from yesterday. A lot of hail reports, a lot of wind reports, and even quite a few tornado reports here as well. We do have 425 overall severe weather reports from yesterday. 12 of those were reported here to be tornadoes, so we'll have the Storm Prediction Center and all the National Weather Services will here be monitoring that. That number may be going up or down, so we'll have to see here in the next couple of days. But a lot of tornado reports here from portions here of far eastern Wyoming through Nebraska, even into Iowa, and portions here right along the Kansas, Missouri border, back into southeastern Colorado, and even northeastern portions there of New Mexico as well. We had 202 wind reports, with 15 of them here on the high side with some higher end wind gusts, and 211 hail reports with 44 of those significant. We had a lot of big hail across portions of Nebraska, into portions of Kansas, and especially down into portions there of Colorado, where some of these hailstones were measuring in around 3, perhaps even 4 inches in diameter, up to around baseball size. So some very big hail did fall yesterday with these storms. And you can see this morning here, or actually rather this afternoon, you can see here there's an MCS or mesoscale convective system continuing to propagate to the south and east here across the mid-south, across portions of Arkansas, getting into the deep south here. And you can see a very nice plume of moisture with this here, as these echo tops here are very tall up in the atmosphere, especially into portions of Arkansas. Just a beautiful picture here on the satellite imagery here this afternoon of that MCS dropping to the south. So I did want to show you that. Even the alerts here, we do have, severe thunderstorm watches across portions of southern, southeastern portions there of Arkansas. Even tornado watches that have been hoisted across portions of south central Indiana, southern portions there of Ohio, and a far northern Kentucky. This tornado watch here is having a couple severe thunderstorm warnings kind of embedded in that here as well. So I have to be monitoring that as we head through the day. Storm Prediction Center maintains a slight risk of severe weather across the Ohio Valley as well, down into the portions here of the deep south and the mid-south here, from portions of southeastern Oklahoma into portions of south central Arkansas into north central Alabama and Mississippi as well, with that ongoing MCS that I was showing you on the satellite imagery, still producing some isolated strong to severe storms across these areas, so we'll have to watch that, with a large marginal risk here kind of extending around the Tennessee Valley into the east coast. Another marginal risk across portions of eastern and central portions there of New Mexico into West Texas as well through the afternoon and evening. We do have a 5% tornado risk the Storm Prediction Center has put across portions of central and southern Indiana into southwestern and southern portions there of Ohio. 2% kind of surrounding that from the eastern Illinois Valley down eastward into portions here of southwestern Pennsylvania into West Virginia. Also a small 2% risk for a tornado or two, a brief tornado or two at that, across portions of central New Mexico into far west Texas here as we head through the rest of the day. But looking up here into portions of the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the Tennessee Valley type of areas, we could see some thunderstorms continuing to bubble up here this afternoon. These will continue to bubble up even more as we head toward the evening hours around the dinner time frame. Maybe a couple of line segments with some here, embedded strong damaging winds along the leading edge. We also got some here kind of popcorn type storms here kind of popping up here during the heat of the day into the late afternoon, early to mid evening hours, and that will here pose the risk of maybe some large hail, maybe a couple tornadoes with those here more discrete storms, and yes, some damaging winds will continue as well. This will kind of congeal more into a kind of a linear line as we head into portions from southwestern Pennsylvania down through portions here of West Virginia into eastern Kentucky, maybe inching its way down toward the middle and eastern Tennessee Valley there as we head into the evening hours, and that'll continue to kind of press its way to the east into the northeast with kind of a heavy rainmaker across portions here of the Pennsylvania, getting into southern New York State, and then down into portions there of Maryland, maybe some stronger storms as well, and kind of some back building of that line here down into portions of the mid-Atlantic as we head towards the overnight hours. And then just a real, moderate to heavy stratiform type of rain, some embedded thunderstorms across most of interior New England as we head into the morning hours on your Thursday as we head into tomorrow. Also looking down here to the south across the southern Great Plains into the Mid-South region, you can see some here. The ongoing MCS cluster will be continuing across portions of Arkansas into the Deep South. That'll continue to kind of weaken as it pushes to the east-southeast. Maybe some stronger storms kind of initiating across portions of north-central Alabama, north-central Mississippi. Some large hail, maybe some strong winds with that. The tornado risk is not really there here this afternoon across those areas, kind of the lack of low-level shear across those areas, so not kind of too worried about that in that area. A smaller tornado risk across portions of West Texas and central and eastern portions there of New Mexico. Maybe some isolated supercell producing a brief tornado or two here this afternoon. Some very large hail, maybe even some, some damaging wind gusts as well. Those will kind of fizzle out here as we lose the instability as we head toward the afternoon and evening across New Mexico into West Texas. In addition to the damaging winds, the large hail, and the tornado threat, we do have the Weather Prediction Center has added a marginal to even a slight risks and multiple zones for flash flooding as we head through the rest of the day into tonight. Marginal risk of flash flooding across portions of the Ohio Valley. Slight risk of flash flooding across the mid-Atlantic there from southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, down through portions of southern Maryland and northern portions of Virginia. A couple of slight risks for flash flooding across southern portions there of Arkansas with that ongoing MCS. Also into portions of north-central Alabama and to far northwest Georgia as well. And then kind of another marginal risk for flash flooding across east-central New Mexico into West Texas Panhandle as we head through the rest of the day as well. And then as we head into tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 categorical outlook does include a slight risk for severe weather across the same zones that have been repeatedly hit by severe weather here this week, and that will continue here with a slight risk of severe weather from south central Nebraska, much of Kansas, eastern portions there of Colorado, down into far northeastern New Mexico, the northern Texas Panhandle, and the northern portions there of Oklahoma, maybe northwestern Arkansas, southwestern Missouri as we head into our Thursday afternoon and evening. The Storm Prediction Center does also include a 15% and even a hatched wind risk of 75 or greater mile per hour winds possibly across southern and central portions there of Kansas, getting down here into northern portions there of Oklahoma and into the far northeast Texas Panhandle as well. And then kind of a smaller zone of a 15% hail risk of hatched hail risk of significant hail of 2 inches or larger of that golf ball to ping pong ball size hail and larger as we head into portions of west central Kansas and to far southwestern and southern portions there of Nebraska as well. And then kind of a small limited tornado risk here with a 2% tornado risk from portions of Nebraska down into Kansas, northern Oklahoma, into portions of far southwestern Missouri into northwestern Arkansas as we head through the day tomorrow as well. The reason we're seeing all the severe weather, a lot of warmth and humidity with a building ridge slowly building across the desert southwest, and that will be the start of the heat wave as we head toward the end of the period here. But we'll start to see, 70s, 80s, even 90-degree temperatures across portions here of Colorado, getting down into Texas, and that will really start to fuel the instability across these areas, especially when you get dew points here into the 50s. Not looking at off-the-chart dew points tomorrow, but enough here, enough moisture in the low levels to start to get some severe weather, upper 50s to low 60 dew points, maybe some mid-60s across portions of Oklahoma, and that will be enough to fuel some severe weather as we head into tomorrow evening. Also seeing here kind of a signal in the HRRR model here this afternoon of a kind of some supercell kind of environment setting up across central and western portions here of Nebraska down into portions of central and western Kansas with the kind of the initial storms potentially producing some tornadoes. So we'll have to see here as that kind of moves across these areas here if that here does end up developing as we head through tomorrow afternoon and evening. Looking at kind of the radar reflectivity, the kind of the simulated radar, what this could look like tomorrow afternoon. Got some storms popping up across eastern Colorado. These will really start to fire up across portions of southeastern South Dakota, north central portions here of Nebraska, maybe a couple cells down into central Nebraska. We've got to watch for some large hail as well. And these will really start to take shape here as we head towards the early evening hours, toward the dinner time frame, maybe kind of some bowing structures in there. as we have another MCS or mesoscale convective system type of complex that will be diving southeastward along that slight risk area and bringing the threat for some large hail, some damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes potentially as well. We also do have here some back building of the storms here into southern portions here in Nebraska, central portions there of Kansas as well. And then this will start to here kind of exit into portions here of the mid-south as we head into the early Friday morning. Along with this MCS cluster, we do have the potential here of some flash flooding. The Weather Prediction Center has also hoisted a slight risk for flash flooding from central and eastern portions there of Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern portions of Missouri, into northwestern Arkansas, with a marginal risk kind of extending around that. Also, don't want to discount the marginal risk here of flash flooding across the Pacific Northwest around the Seattle area, as well as some heavier rainfall can be possible there as we head through the day tomorrow as well. Then as we head into Friday, the last kind of day that I've been talking about for some severe weather here, as this MCS will continue to propagate to the south and east, it will encounter a kind of an environment downstream here, kind of destabilizing, and that's why the Storm Prediction Center has hoisted a slight risk of severe weather here from portions of southern, southeastern Arkansas, far northeastern Louisiana, into central portions of Mississippi, including the Jackson, Mississippi area. So this here will be something to watch here in the next couple of days as the Storm Prediction Center kind of assesses the severe weather threat as we head through the Friday timeframe. But generally, this is what the NAMNIST model is showing here at the midday hours here. Seeing here, you can see the kind of a bowing structures in there with that MCS cluster dropping out of the central plains, and this will propagate to the southeast, start to weaken a little bit, but we've also got to watch ahead of that here where we have some storms popping up as well with the potential for some damaging winds and hail. The tornado risk not all that high tomorrow. The low-level shear not going to be too extreme, so not looking at a big tornado threat. We can't rule out maybe an isolated tornado here along the leading edge of the MCS where you got those kinks here in that line, and then this will start to weaken as we head to the afternoon and evening. Maybe some renegade isolated showers here kind of developing across northeast Mississippi, central and western Alabama as we head toward late Friday afternoon. But the main kind of cluster and complex will kind of dive its way into northwest Florida and off the Gulf Coast as we head into the late tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. Then looking ahead, this is what I've been talking about with a major heat wave here expected as we head toward the middle and toward especially the Father's Day weekend and in toward the end of June. And this heat wave does look to have some staying power here. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook the Climate Prediction Center is putting out from June 14th through the 18th time frame, likely to even almost certainly above average across portions here of the Tennessee Valley down through the southeast and across portions of the southern plains and even all the way up into the Great Lakes region as well. We do have a trough across portions of the Pacific Northwest where we have a lot of cooler air, maybe some rainfall across those areas as that jet stream pushes farther to the north. And then even here all the way through the Father's Day weekend, June 16th through the June 22nd, that here we'll have another ridge. The first ridge will start to break down a little bit, and with some showers and storms along the Great Lakes into the northeast, and then we'll have another kind of ridge becoming established here, kind of becoming reestablished across portions of the central plains, southern plains, with likely above average temperatures toward the end of June as well, and that trough in the upper levels kind of meandering across the west coast and the Pacific Northwest as we head toward the end of June as well, not really moving too much as we head toward the end of June. But like I said, with that ridge starting to develop, we'll have the jet stream pushing farther and farther to the north each day. This is as we head into Saturday evening this weekend, and that jet stream will be all the way up into portions of the Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, and kind of diving down through the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, and that's where that storm track will be, the active storm track with maybe some complexes of storms. We'll have to see how that works out. And then as we head towards Sunday here, this continues to push all the way up into southern Canada, and to the south of that, a lot of heat, humidity building with dew points rising into the 70s. You got temperatures well into the 90s, even some hundreds down here into Texas, and that will fuel here some your drought worsening conditions here as well across those areas. So something to monitor. The new drought monitor does come out tomorrow, so I will show you that here in the next update. And then as we head into early next week, Monday into the Tuesday timeframe, the jet stream really pushes up to the north here into portions of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, portions here of Ontario, maybe Quebec, and then kind of diving down into the eastern Great Lakes and the northeast. And underneath that ridge, you can have a lot of warm temperatures. We do have to watch this trough as it kind of meanders across the Pacific Northwest as we head toward the middle of next week. A little buckle in that here, ripples of energy in that jet stream may be enough to send here some severe weather complexes across portions of the Midwest Midwest, the Northern Plains, and the Great Lakes toward the middle of next week and toward the Father's Day weekend. So something to watch there as well. Like I said, that buckle and that jet stream we'll have to watch as we head toward the middle of next week. But overall, looking at kind of how the heat wave looks to play out, the desert Southwest is going to be baking with temperatures well into the hundreds down toward the Phoenix area, getting down toward the Death Valley. We could have temperatures approaching 116 degrees or so down that way. We have hundreds across portions here of much of Texas, lower hundreds, from 100, maybe 105 across portions of central Texas. The heat will be expanding here as we head in toward that Saturday time frame as well into this weekend, all the way up into portions of Canada here with some lower 80s, and that will continue to expand here with temperatures rising well into the hundreds across much of Texas. The Dallas-Fort Worth area could be approaching 105 as we head into Sunday, maybe 107 back here to the west of there as well, and this will continue to expand with that heat and humidity, 90s all the way up into western Iowa, portions of central and eastern Nebraska. Even some 90s up and down the East Coast here as well. So we'll have a lot of heat and humidity building, and this will continue to amplify as we head into early next week with that trough kind of meandering across the Pacific Northwest with some cooler temperatures there. We have a lot of hundreds continuing for the third consecutive day across portions here of Texas, and that'll only continue here for the foreseeable future as we head toward the end of June. Also on the severe weather front, as we head toward the middle of June, toward the Father's Day weekend or just before there, we have a lot of instability starting to grow across portions of the Missouri Valley, the upper and middle Mississippi Valley, and the portions of the Ohio Valley, and we'll have to watch that for some storm complexes here. But we are seeing underneath that ridge a lot of a capping inversion here. You don't have a lot of lift in the atmosphere. You kind of have some clouds that lift up into the mid-levels, and then they kind of are shunted downward because of that strong cap in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, and that is what here is occurring across most of this region. So kind of uncertain of how much severe weather we'll see across the next week's time frame, but something to monitor here as we have all that instability, and any storm that can poke through and erode with that cap could really send some strong storm complexes through portions here of the Midwest, down through the Ohio Valley and through the Illinois Valley here as well toward the middle of next week. Also seeing some supercell composite values showing up. So like I said, that severe weather threat, if that cap can erode as we head toward the middle of next week with kind of a frontal boundary potentially kind of triggering some storms, we'll have to see here how much coverage of storms will be. Maybe some severe weather across the middle of the country and portions of the southern Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley as we head toward the middle of next week. And that is supported by the mid-level winds. You can see here the 500 millibar winds kind of showing some stronger anomalies across portions here of the Minnesota area into the Dakotas, back into Nebraska, and just east of there is where we could expect some severe weather if it were to form. So we'll have to see how that would work out as we head toward that time frame. But just in general, over the next 7 days, all the way through, ending on the morning hours here of Wednesday, June 15th, just before the Father's Day weekend, you can expect the active storm track to go well into southern Canada, portions of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, over towards southern portions there of Ontario. Lots of rainfall expected, with rainfall up into southern Canada prairies there, in excess of 2 inches in accumulation across those areas. Still an active northwest Pacific area here across the Pacific Northwest, up through Vancouver and portions here of Portland, up through Seattle, with several more inches of rain expected there. And here's some rainfall expected across the Northeast, getting back to the Ohio Valley with the potential storm complexes toward the middle of next week as well. And then let's kind of turn our attention to the tropics. We're seeing kind of some warmer temperature anomalies continuing across the Gulf Coast down through portions of the Caribbean. However, the Caribbean is looking a little cooler than normal anomalies here at this time, but I'm seeing still some warmer anomalies here showing up across portions here of the western Atlantic, and then getting into the central Atlantic here and northern Atlantic as well, especially up toward the Northeast. So that is something to monitor, especially with the warmer waters around the Gulf of Mexico, some here near normal and maybe slightly below normal across portions of the Caribbean. Still have to watch that here for the tropics moving forward. This is kind of the frequency anomaly, kind of the climatology of where storms kind of originate here, portions of the the Caribbean, and then they kind of move up through in portions of the Gulf, or they originate here in the southern Gulf and push up through the Gulf regions here as well, and they can kind of originate here very close to land this time of year. Into early hurricane season here, these storms kind of like to originate closer to land, so off the Florida and Carolina coast, and potentially off the the Mexican coast as well, into portions of the Bay of Campeche. So do have to watch that. And a lot of this here continues to here kind of evolve with time as we head toward the end of June. Storms will kind of move a little farther off and develop farther off the coast as we head toward later in the hurricane season. But we did want to show you that as the hurricane season is starting to heat up as we're heading toward the middle of June. Still here, we want to raise awareness that you need to watch these here, the waters across these areas. You need to watch for some storms. Not seeing any major storms here anytime soon. I know a couple of weather models are showing, a huge hurricane hitting Texas and Louisiana. I don't think that is going to be the case here as we have a lot of shear still across portions of the Gulf into the Caribbean as we head towards, the middle of June. But still something to watch here. Not every weather model will be wrong, but here I don't think we're going to see a Category 3 or 4 hurricane going into portions of Texas or Louisiana anytime soon with all that shear in the Gulf of Mexico. But did I want to raise your awareness of the tropics? So do kind of beware as we head toward later in hurricane season, as storms will be trying to heat up through time. So do be mindful of that. Thank you for watching my video. Do be sure to like my video. Give me a nice thumbs up. Also here, leave any comments, questions below. I'll be able to answer those. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, as I am trying to hit my goal of 200, so please help me out, and I appreciate that very much. And I may be going live as we head into next week or toward the middle and end of June here. I'm trying to do something new, maybe going live here in my videos, kind of going live with severe storm coverage, maybe some of the tropics here kind of heating up toward the end of June. So I'll see how that works out. I'll probably be going live toward the end of June. So thank you very much for watching, and hope everybody has a great Wednesday out there.